Andrew, we'll just check some of your swing videos from the last term as well as some from earlier in the year. So we're showing a couple now from that are dated 3rd of June. So we'll take a look at this one on the left first. So we can see your setup looks pretty good. You got the shaft in a neutral position. The club face looks pretty square. It looks like you've got a pretty even weight distribution on your feet and legs. You may have just enough spine tilt there at address. Your head's behind it. Hopefully you can now swing and not move any further to the right than that. So we can see where that post is in the back of your background there. You don't need to get any more into your right side than that. Okay, which you've done. You've actually moved over to the right, so you've created more spine tilt there. I think you needed just a fraction more spine tilt at address, and then rotate around that spine that's tilted slightly away from the target. We can also see there's quite a lot of body rotation here for the amount of arm swing that you've made. So that would usually mean that your arms are swinging around with your body turn a little bit too much. Usually when your arms swing around a lot, you're going to get the club to go back inside on the backswing, very deep on the backswing. At halfway back, generally you should be looking for that shaft to be only just underneath your right shoulder. You're looking for your hands to be in the center of your chest and the shaft to be angled down on the target line somewhere back of your right foot. So we can see it's a little bit back of that. So if you choose to do it, if you do manage to get it back in this position, what's going to happen is you're either going to stay way on the inside and have to draw it a lot, or you're going to have to come over it a little bit. So that's what we're seeing here, is that club's now come out in front a little bit more than what it did on the backswing. Again, we'll show you where that club was on the backswing. Okay, there it is there, and then where it is on the downswing. So it's come out in front of where it was on the backswing. So that just tells us it was a little bit too deep. So again, going back to this front view, we can see that you're making a big shoulder turn for a 6-iron. That looks like, I'm not sure, 110 degrees. Generally, most players won't make that big a shoulder turn with a mid-iron. Also, one of the things that's leading to that big shoulder rotation is the fact that you've allowed your head to rotate so far to the right. If you'd kept your head looking directly towards the ball, to the target, if the bill on your cap was still facing this way, you wouldn't be able to rotate your shoulders that much. So that's not really going to give you that much additional power. And you don't need that much power when you're hitting a 6-iron shot. So that's going to cause problems with hitting the ball straight by over rotating your body like that and getting your arms back in behind you that much. It's going to get the club face closed, the club face is closed in relation to the path. So that's going to mean, when we come back here, we can see that club face is a little closed there. So that's going to mean that when you look up and see where your shots go, they're going left. And it's a lot of the time it's because of the club face. That's the biggest factor, but also when the club's coming more out in front on the way down, the club face is going to tend to close, and so you can see that the ball just doesn't start on line here. So the clubs come more out in front, so that has a tendency to make the club face close as well, and that's only a tiny bit closed there. But it's going to mean that the ball just can't start on line. The club's going to exit out to the left there, so that's coming out well underneath your left shoulder there. It should be coming out much closer to that sort of position there. So that's just meaning the ball is starting left and going perhaps further left, maybe curving even further left. So you're just going to have to line up out here unless you correct it. So what I would be recommending would be that you work on improving that club face control, getting the club more into a toe up position at this stage in the swing. You need to have that club much more out in this position here with the leading edge facing directly up. You need to have the arm swinging up a lot more in order to get into that position as well. And then hopefully it means you can start the ball straight and hit it pretty straight. So if we look at earlier swings as well, this one is from February. We're probably still going to see that the club's going to go back a little bit too far to the inside. Again, a little too closed. Right, it's, you know, we can see so much of that left arm there. With good players, very often you can't see any of their left arm if they're wearing short sleeve shirts. You can only just, you know, their hands are in the middle of their chest, so you don't see that, all of that left forearm. The shaft will be much closer to just underneath that right shoulder. So again, here that club's going to have to come out in front, or else you're going to hit a, you know, if you stay there, you're going to be hitting pretty big draw shots. So you've done a much better job of keeping that in on the same plane there. It's coming more from the inside here. So now this ball can actually start a lot straighter, because it's not actually coming out in front on the way down and closing and pulling the ball. So that can start a lot straighter. But I still think that club needs to be a lot more out in front of you on the backswing in order to help improve where the club's coming from on the downswing. So on the downswing, I would much prefer that we're having this club come down a lot more in between these elbows, and then I'm sure you're going to have a much better chance of starting the ball straight and hitting it straight. So yeah, this is still coming down underneath that right elbow there, but what I'm talking about is getting it more this way. So that's more on that target line plane there. And it doesn't matter whether we're talking about hitting a driver or hitting a 6 or a 7 iron or a pitching wedge. You know, your reference is the target line plane. So we need to be swinging that club somewhere near along the target line in order to have good club face control as well. And we can see that club face there, a little bit closed, that position in the swing. It's a fair chance it's being closed here in the takeaway as well. So you're going to pay for that later on, and you're going to have to pay by creating a lot more spine tilt. So you can get a lot more spine tilt here. That can help reduce the amount of closed club face, and you can also prevent those arms from rotating on the follow through. So we're going to have the left arm a lot higher than the right. We'll even start to sort of almost bend and wing that left arm up, and completely no recocking of the wrist, and then you can prevent that club face from closing. But that's not a way to swing the club fast, not the way to get the most out of your swing. So and that's just comes from getting that club face closed in the backswing, closed in relation to the path. So we'll have a look at this one here. So again, this is a little bit too far to the inside, not as closed a position there, which is better. And top of backswing, we can see that club face there, where that's pointing to here, well over the target line, it should actually be much closer to on the target line. It should actually be more in that sort of position there. So in order to do that, I believe that left arm would need to swing up a little bit more on an upright plane, and then this club face could improve its position in relation to the plane, and you could start the ball straighter and hit it straighter. And now we'll just check a couple of shorter shots. So this is a basic pitch chip shot, and you know, mostly your technique with these are pretty good. You know, you need to be able to have a square club face chip pitch, and also be able to have a shot where you're opening up the club face when you need to hit higher and land it softer. So, you know, you've got the ball position forward there. That's going to help shallow out the angle of approach. You've got an even weight distribution. You're not too wristy, which is good. You're not too wristy on the backswing at least. Okay, but then you do tend to create a little bit of lag and get those hands forward quite a lot in the approach to the ball. So that's going to mean that there is a tendency, even though we can't see that it's very steep there, it certainly doesn't look too steep. If that club comes down with any steepness, then contact must be precise. Otherwise, and also the ball's going to come out low. It may well come out spinning, but you'd better be playing on soft greens for that ball to be able to stop. So yeah, I just tend to think you're better off not getting quite so much shaft lean into the ball there like that. So keep those hands a little bit more passive. And with your bunker shots, important things here with bunker shots are that, again, you're keeping the angle of approach quite shallow. So in order to do that, we need to have the ball forward in the stance, which looks like you're going to do there with that setup. You're going to have a fairly even weight distribution on your feet and legs, and you're going to have a fairly normal swing path and swing plane. You don't need to be coming from the outside. You don't need to be too risky, so you don't need to change your swing too dramatically from what you normally do. So everything in the setup looks good. You've got the club face nice and open, so you can use the bounce of the club. And just a little bit of movement forward there, which is going to increase the angle of approach a little, but this one looks like you've made pretty good contact with it. Yeah, and not get too, we certainly don't want to get too much of this knee action bending forward either, because again, that's going to help increase the angle of approach. So not too dissimilar to a normal swing with what you do with your legs. Let's have a look at this one on the right. Club face looks nice and open. See, probably even that club should be a little bit more in front of you there on the takeaway. So at this stage, your bunker play, if you practice your bunker play, it's not going to hurt you for your full swing. And here we don't see any out in front on the downswing, which is good. We're keeping it on the same plane. Just that I'd like to see it a little bit more in front of you on the backswing. And then we need to hold off that club face on the way through. And that looks like you've done a pretty good job there. And keep the club going. That way, if you make a mistake, you can still have the momentum to get the ball out. And when it comes to your putting, you just need to ensure that you're doing some practice where you have some feedback. So practicing with an elastic line on your straight putts as well as breaking putts is a great idea. You need to get that putter face square to the at right angles to the string line at address. You need to get your eyes somewhere near directly over the ball to help get that to get used to getting that putter face square. And then I like the idea of the top of the neck being close to horizontal here, so you could probably relax your head a little bit in order to get the chin and the forehead not too much of a angled up this way. We want to have the forehead a little bit lower, so then you can swivel your head and easily look along the target line. And then next thing is we need to have the arms and the shaft pretty much in a straight line. And then just allow the putter head to swing slightly inside on the backswing, slightly inside on the through swing. If you can start the ball underneath the string line, that's one of the most important things in ensuring that you can roll the ball well. And then just work on your distance control as well as all the rest of your drills for holing out. So your putting stroke actually looks pretty good. I'm sure if you continue to do some practice where you're getting good feedback in all areas of your game, you can continue to improve.